You're listening to Pato's Powerhouse.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's podcast. This is Pato, welcoming you and thanking you for tuning in because, well, I know you have options. So, today's podcast, today's kind of special because, it's probably the 13th, the 12th, the 13th, I don't know, what day is it today? God, I've lost track of time. And that's because I work a lot. I've mentioned that in the past. But what I really wanted to talk about today is December 10th would be the 1 year anniversary that I first got on this Spreaker app and recorded my first podcast ever. It started off as Pato the Ghostwriter Show. And why the Ghostwriter? Because I was going to originally ghostwrite material for Cursory Overload. Originally, it was just going to be K-Dog's. That was K-Dog's dream. He used to talk about it all the time, that he wanted to be a podcaster. He wanted to talk, And to me, I was like, yeah, okay, well, cool. Sounds great. But then one day, I guess, we were just talking about it, and I started looking into it, and the podcasting bug bit me. And I've said this before, I've shared this with you, but today I'm sharing it again because December 10th marks the 1 year anniversary that I took the plunge and just recorded the first episode. Now, sadly, in the last year, I've done a lot of growing, as a podcaster, and I started I went through a little spell where I cleaned up Pato the Ghostwriter Show, where I didn't want any cuss words in it or any curse words, which is funny because I'm co-host of Cursory Overload, right? I figured I'd get all my cursing and cussing out of the way on Cursory Overload, and I keep Pato the Ghostwriter as a rated E for everyone platform. But then I started feeling very restrained. Like, there was times when I wanted to talk and I wanted to speak my mind and I wanted to say what was really on my mind, but yet I felt restrained. I felt fenced in. So, we revamped it. Pato the Ghostwriter Show became Pato's Powerhouse, and that's what we're doing now. A lot of the shows, which I wish I hadn't done it, but a lot of those were deleted. And I cannot recreate the first show. I'm not even working at that place anymore. I'm at a different place now. But the first show ever happened, like I said, over a year ago at this place where I was working. It was a break room incident where we were there. It was a cold, as cold as it gets. Well, actually, Arizona, like I said, yeah, sure, we don't have a very, very cold winter, but when you're out and about in the middle of the night, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, temperature drops. So usually I would take my break around that time, so I went to the break room to get some coffee. And this guy there, he saw that there was like 3 or 4 of us in line there, and he took the last of the coffee. And he just poured it and didn't bother to turn the machine off. He just placed the pot back in the burner there and turned around and looked at us like, I got mine. Fuck all of y'all. And I don't know, usually, like I said, I was nicknamed Pato because everything, it means stuck. Everything just slides off my back. But that day, it was cold, and I needed my coffee, and that just rubbed me the wrong way. So I gave him a look, and he just kept walking, like, later, bitches, and, left us there. So, okay, I was next in line, so I rinsed the pot, made a new pot of coffee. Had to wait, 5-6 minutes it takes for that thing to brew. But, I mean, it didn't even take me a minute to do that. And my biggest gripe was that, he could have been either apologize, be like, sorry guys, I took the last of the coffee, or even, show some courtesy and you take the last of the coffee, make another pot. But that didn't happen. And I just went on probably like a 15-minute rant, because at that time I was using the Spreaker app, but I was on the free version of it, which only gives you like 15 minutes, which is kind of what set the pattern for the bite-sized podcasts. Because, I mean, although I enjoy my podcast, I mean, those 120-minute, 160-minute, 2-3 hour podcasts, I mean, those are long. So I took a different approach to podcasting. Alrighty. So yes, that's one of the reasons why Pato's Powerhouse, most shows are anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes at the most. I think we got a couple there that have hit the 40-minute mark. But for the most part, it's just small, half an hour podcast show, or half an hour or less, something that you can listen to during your break. Because, well, that's how it started. I mean, I was using the free version of Spreaker. And then once we got serious and cursory overload came into play, we needed more space. So, we did what we had to do in order to get this going. And I took the plunge, and Pato the Ghost Rider Productions was born, and continued producing Pato the Ghost Rider. And we were just, like I said, going crazy. And okay, I kind of got a little sidetracked there, because I don't know if it was the fact that I had to sneeze. But okay, as I was telling you, that first episode, I went on a rant. I went ranting, kind of like ticked off at this person, because I was just pissed off. I mean, seriously, like, come on. I was like, it takes 1 minute to make a pot of coffee. 1 minute, and, the rest of us would have been happy and not wishing to kill you. But anyway, I got over it. I remember I must have used the word motherfucker so many times. I even said it. I was like, in the other podcasts, I was like, well, I said that word so many times that Samuel L. Jackson would have been proud of me. And we all know that man's taken that to another level. When he blurts out that word, it's art. I don't know how, but I'm sure it's art. I mean, it actually, just to prove how much of an art form it is, even Disney and Disney Marvel, whatever, in the last Avenger movie, right before the Thanos snap, and right before Director Fury disappeared, he was about to say, and I was joking around about that, because we were sticking around till the end of the credits, because that's how we've been trained by those movies. Now we stick around till the very end, hoping that Sam Jackson will come out and, I don't know, say something. And I was joking around. I'm like, we're sticking around till Sam Jackson comes out and says, And funny enough, he was going to say it, but apparently he disintegrated before he was able to say it. And that right there proves my theory that Samuel Jackson has taken the expression, or the verbalization of the word motherfucker, to a whole nother level. It's an art form. There, I said it. So yeah. So basically, that was pretty much the first podcast. I was talking about how I was so pissed off because that mofo took the last of the coffee and just left us there hanging. Of course, I mean, like I said, I made another pod. Once I got coffee in my system, everything was right with the world again. I didn't want to kill him that bad, but still, you know. What else? I don't know. I talked about how I got the nickname Pato back in the day. You know how it was K-Dog and this other guy we call Napoleon Steinhardt. Well, I think I just blurted out. Anyway, I'm not gonna put him too much on blast, but basically Napoleon nicknamed me because I was dealing with a hard to deal with coworker, and Napoleon was like, man, if he would have said that to me, I would have throat punched him. And I was just like, I don't give a rat's ass, you know. He doesn't mean a thing to me. Whatever he says, just I don't care. And he's like, God, I can't believe it. It just rolls off your back like a duck. And then they started with duck, 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 duck. And then, of course, you know, later on in that night, the fact that I am Latino, all of a sudden, they're like, well, since he's Latino, Duck Duck here is Mr. Pato, you know? Mr. Pato. So, Pato was born. And I explained all that in my first podcast, but of course, later on I went through that little phase where I wanted to make this a cuss-free zone, a no profanity, you know, rated E for everyone. Because at first, you know, when I started doing this, even the kids started coming around and they wanted to join in. In fact, if you listen to one of the previous episodes, which they still go as Pato, the Ghostwriter Show, they're still, they still start out like that. You'll see that I have T-Bone. I had the 21-year-old who went by a different moniker. Now I believe now he goes by Dayguard20 on his TikTok account. And which he introduced me to that, and I'm hooked. Which, by the way, you know, pdgpodcast.com. That's the website. You can go there, go to the contacts. You can send me a message, send me an email, send me even a text message. You know, speaking of text messages, let me give you that number.
Pato's Powerhouse text line 602-529-7273.
All right, that's the number if you want to send me a text message and let me know what you think of the show, what you think of, you know, Cursory Overload. Have you been listening? That's the other podcast where I co-host. That's the basically that was the Cursory Overload is the thing that sparked everything. You know, without K-Dog's idea for Cursory Overload, there would be no Pato's Powerhouse, there'd be no Pato the Ghostwriter Productions. And coming in 2019, Tales from the Guard Shack, which is going to be a show where basically we're going to go around talking to people in the security field and getting their stories, you know, because you have to, these people are our eyes and ears at night. You know, when you sleep, there's somebody in a uniform working, keeping an eye on things, and they get to witness a lot of funky, cool stuff. You know, a lot of, I mean, it's just amazing. So I think that's going to be pretty awesome. We have a lot. Obviously, I've been in the business. I mean, because like I said, I work two jobs most of the time, and security has always been one of them. So for over 26 years now. Oh, not quite. I think July is going to be the 26-year mark. But it's like I said, I got over a quarter of a century doing this kind of job. So I got some stories, and I know a thing or two about it. And yeah, sure, you know, Hollywood movies usually make security guards look like dorks, you know, but I wanted to make a show that will give each and every one that works in that field a pat in the back, you know, hey, thanks a lot, you know, thanks for your service. Because even though you're not military, you're not PD, you're out there, I mean, wearing a uniform that sometimes could make you a target. And I mean, all you have is your wits and, you know, to make the best out of a situation, you know.